Before we get started on today's show, we do want to share that we had a few technical difficulties with audio and video, and we are very sorry for the inconvenience. We did try to edit it as best we could, and we hope that you still enjoy our episode and our recap of The Impossible Dream.
Hello, Postables! You're listening to Deliver Me a Podcast, hosted by Kaycee, Jess, and me, Cami. Special thanks to James Jandrisch for letting us use his amazing music. Now, sit back, relax, grab a Yoo-hoo and a stamp collection, and here we go. Welcome back, Postables! So happy to have you. We have a special guest host with us today because Jess isn't feeling well, and Jess, we love you. Hope you feel better. But we have Miss Colorado Hardy herself, Lauralyn Boozacruz. Hi, Lauralyn.
Hi.
We especially like her because she's a When Calls the Heart and Signed Sealed Delivered fan. So she's the double. And since Kaycee and I are the double, we really like you.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good combo. Hardy and Postable. Yes.
Amen. Amen. All right. Today we are going to be talking about To Dream the Impossible Dream. Sorry. Had to do it once. All right. So first impressions when it flashed on the screen. What did you guys think of the very first scene that popped up? Can you remember back to the first time you saw it?
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. Are we continuing the story? And I had to watch it out of order because they weren't airing them and they didn't have all of them on Hallmark Movies Now. So I'm literally getting other copies, and I'm like, okay, we have From the Heart. Okay, we have Truth Be Told. Okay, we have Home Again. I was literally piecing the story together. So because I didn't order, I was like, wait a second, didn't we just talk about this chick in one of the other movies? That was my reaction.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I was just excited that they were continuing the story because, I had no idea. I thought it was kind of done after Truth Be Told. And then they started with The Impossible Dream. And I was like, oh, yes, we're going to see what happened.
Yeah, that's what Kaycee and I and Jess talked about last time when we talked about Truth Be Told. We said we thought that this was the end, that it was just going to end like that. And then when the door to her cell opens, I went, oh, it's Ramsey! She's alive! Because when I watched it for the first time, I had just finished watching Truth Be Told. And then I was watching Impossible Dream right after that. And so, yeah, I got very, very excited. Like, she's alive! So, and when we talked to Tammy Gillis, she gave us a lot of behind the scenes and insider info. So for one thing, her wig was really, really long because they wanted to make it look like 2 years had passed. And so in her soldier picture, she had dyed her hair brown and it was cut short. So that was her hair. And then and Tammy, I hope I'm getting this right. And then in this one it was longer hair because she had been a prisoner for 2 years. Oh, okay. Can we just start there? 2 years.
Yeah. In really horrific condition.
I know.
Not only is she a POW, but she is also a woman.
Oh, which is
in that area and American. So, it's just not looking too good for
all
her.
Kinds of things. Just tick, 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 tick. That's tick all those things off the list. And I am surprised that she was not dead. I really am. So yeah, very glad that she wasn't dead. So she is helping a father and his expectant daughter deliver the baby because apparently there's a problem. And so her father brought her to the prison so that he could get help from Randolyn because he knows who she is. She brought medicine to their village. And then he says, freedom is not impossible. And you just go, it's just, oh my gosh, really? You start gripping the chair and you start scooting up onto the edge of your seat. Okay. And then we have the big opening, which I consider kind of the Apollo 13 opening, because you got the four of them doing the slow motion walk down the corridor to the session of Congress. Okay,
Shane's got that power walk going on. She's like a boss, man.
I was just gonna say, I love how each of them is walking in character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got Norman, who, poor man, bumps into the flagpole. Okay,
that would be me. To be 100% honest, that would be me. I'm always the one who usually, if we're standing in a line of friends and we are walking, I'm usually the one that like falls off the curb, bumps into like a random desk or like a table, or trips over my own feet. Like, I got you, Norman.
And then we've got Rita with her scared and unsure eyes, and her kind of, I like to call it kind of her delicate hand position, where, you know, it's kind of, she's walking like this with her hands kind of positioned just so. And then we've got the signature Oliver walk with his hands behind his back and just straight forward. And then we got Shane walking like a boss. We're like, I know exactly where I'm going. I am going to crush this thing. And did you notice that there was a red, white, and blue, just different patterns of red, white, and blue between the four of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved the use. I loved the use of red, white, and blue between the four of them. I thought that was fabulous.
Yeah, they did a good job with that.
Mm-hmm. They did. And so then we go into the session of Congress. So this is not a trivia question, so I can say it. The Subcommittee on Emerging Threats and Capability. Mm-hmm. So this is a very serious matter, and we can get from the context that this session was only called last night. They said they called last night. They said you're coming into the Congress tomorrow. Okay, you know? All right. So it becomes apparent that they are bringing information to this subcommittee of Congress that they think they can rescue Randolyn, and that there is an imminent need, not just it would be nice, but there is an imminent need. Mm-hmm. So then we go to the mailbox grill where What?
Yeah, really quick. Can I just chime in real quick and say,
of course.
Can you imagine? Because I mean, I know they have to do it for the storytelling of the movie and going all the way back to the mailbox girl and starting the story from there in the flashbacks. But can you imagine being in like that setting with Congress and trying to be like, okay, we have an emergency situation, but let me go back to like last Thursday, like when we were leaving, prior to us leaving, like all the details, because Oliver would give all that back.
He would give all that. I can just see the point. Checking their watch. Okay, I get the point. Yeah, that is one point. That is one point where I'm with the senator, where I'm with Madam Chairwoman. That they need to speed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So we go to the mailbox grill where Ramon is interviewing Rita, and he then starts to hit on her, and Norman very uncomfortably comes in and says, time for us to leave on our trip to DC together. How much more obvious can you be? I don't know.
That's Norman.
His interactions with Ramon, they are hilarious. And just so,
oh my gosh. That's all we can say. No, but I love what he said. It must be so hard to say goodbye. No, not really. No, not to me. I know you don't have a problem saying goodbye to me. You're gonna have to say goodbye to that woman, you know. And then we see Oliver and Miss Bullock, the lawyer, finishing up their business, and everything's all settled. And Oliver is a millionaire for all we know. Mm-hmm. A substantial amount of money.
He's young, he's rich, he's good looking.
He's single.
Holla.
I quit the post office? You know what I mean? she may as well have suggested assassinating the president of the United States. You know, yeah. I mean, as far as Oliver is concerned, that's treason. So then we go back to the DLO, where Oliver has laid out 4 itineraries down to the minute.
Okay, that's also me.
Down to the minute, Kaycee.
Yes, you don't understand. When I got married, okay, when I got married, I had an itinerary. I had the walk. I had the songs. I had everything lined up. Like, you're walking at this point of the song, and you're doing this, and you're here, and you're doing like everything, the whole thing. I was my own wedding planner for that, and all
I was too.
No, I mean like it, like. You are doing it this way, like my way.
Oh,
with all the details.
Okay.
I mean, I think it was maybe 5 pages long. Like,
oh, wow.
Because I'm insane like that. And for all our vacations, I am literally like, okay, on this day, we're doing this, we're doing these activities. Like,
but would you say we arrive at 3:56?
Yes. If that is what the itinerary says. If Delta is landing at, DC at Reagan Airport, and it says 3:56. We are landing at 3:56, honey.
Okay, moving on.
Fun fact.
No, I did my itinerary for when we got married, and we were falling behind with the pictures on my wedding day. Like, it is way past noon. We're supposed to be doing pictures right now. But everything worked out. All right. So, but then Shane suggests a little side way to, putting something in and just doing a little segue over to here. And Oliver looks like he's about to have a conniption. So,
did he type those itineraries, by the way?
He typed, he color-coded everything.
So he can manage around a computer or maybe a typewriter.
I would go typewriter or incredibly basic computer. So we have the visit to the old home.
Oh.
So I have mixed feelings about this because I've lived in a few homes in my life. I was born at one home, moved to the home I'm in right now. I moved here when I was 7, and then I went and lived in Nicaragua for 3 years, and then came back to this home. So this home is the house that I grew up in. Mm-hmm. And going back and seeing my old home, it's not that emotional for me, but I would probably think, I mean, depending on where I was in my life, I don't know exactly, but I would think that if this house had been demolished, I would probably be a little sad, especially if I didn't know about it. And then I just drove up and it's a pile of bricks.
Mhm.
What do you guys think? What's your home story?
Well, my family didn't really stay in any specific house all that long, so I don't know that like a childhood home would have that impact, but my grandparents' home, where we lived for a little bit of time, where we had Christmas gatherings and just holidays in general, there's so many memories there.
Mhm.
They were talking about selling it a couple years ago, and I just remember getting this like tight feeling in my chest, like, you can't sell that, that's the family home. Thankfully it stayed in the family. But I could imagine being upset like Shane was if something happened to it, or it got demolished or given to someone else or whatever.
Yeah. So I am a very sentimental person by nature, and I would totally be the one to be like, hey guys, we're going back to my hometown. Come see my old house.
Oh yeah.
Like Shane,
Oh,
because,
absolutely.
I don't know. I just have a lot of fond memories of my childhood house. I mean, I only lived there for 11 years, but when we moved from Connecticut to Florida, it was between 5th and 6th grade. So that was a very monumental time period in my life anyways. And it was really hard for me because I literally was leaving everything I knew and everybody I knew to come down to some place that I didn't know anybody except for like, obviously like my family and then my cousins who lived like about 20 minutes from us. But yeah, no, I'm a very, like, I would have done the same thing as Shane. Like, and I probably would have cried if I got back and saw there was no house there. Like, what? Why? You know?
Yeah, I've never been faced with the situation, but you know, I would think that if it were this home that I'm in right now, that I came back 10 years later and it was just gone with no explanation. Like,
And actually, when we went back to visit friends and family up there about 10 years after we had moved, and my best friend from like my childhood was like, hey, let's go see our old house. So we took a walk and we actually went to see our old house. And we knew the people who lived there, but I didn't want to be like, knock, knock, hi, remember me?
Can I come in?
Like, you know my parents. Because that'd be weird. But I did take a picture outside of it.
So what he says, what Oliver and Shane say right here, the message that mom was sending Shane with the rose, because I love that even when she went away, even after Shane went away, she would get an envelope in the mail of the last rose of summer wrapped in wet paper towels in a plastic bag. I think that is so sweet and so endearing. And then Oliver says, she was sending you a message. Pay attention to the simple little things right in front of you, or they could be gone before you know it. Mm-hmm. And this is actually the first time that I got this. I guess I just wasn't paying attention before, but because we cut back to the session and the chairwoman says, what does this have to do with anything? And I would probably be saying, yeah, same thing here. What is going on here? And says the letter is compelling us to pay attention to the details or they will be gone before we know it. I said, okay, good point. Mm-hmm. Now here is something interesting. We're in the hotel lobby and Rita is registering for the Miss Special Delivery. But if you go back to the itinerary, Rita was supposed to register Friday morning. And I went, she's registering on Thursday night. That is an infraction of the pink itinerary. And then we meet Mindy from Wyoming, Big Piney, Wyoming. And she is the one who is practically neighbors with Rita. And she helps her out a great deal by giving her rehearsal spot, which, you know, it just shows you the kind of person that Rita is. And then who do we bump into? Harper Ferguson and Phoebe Amidon. Did you guys notice that she hugged Norman first? Mm-hmm. I love that. It's just a beautiful silent continuation of that bond that she had with Norman. She goes and she hugs him first. It's so sweet. It's so sweet to me because you know how Kaycee would be saying, that's me, that's me. That would be me. That would totally be me because I was bullied a lot as a young kid and as a teenager. And so finding an adult that I completely connected with and then seeing them completely out of context, I would go, hi! You know? So yeah, that's me. So then Shane makes a very mysterious call to someone that we have only ever heard his name. And she does it, which I think is very interesting. She does it after listening to Harper and Phoebe's story that they can't get, they made this trip. They came all this way to get details about Randy Lynn. I mean, that's dedication.
Yeah.
To fly all the way to DC from Colorado, Lauralyn, and just to try to get some answers. I mean, wow. That, and then they're put off, which I think is just so frustrating. I understand national security. I understand classified, but putting off the family in the name of classified, that ticks me off. You know? So, all right. So now we are at the outdoor restaurant area and we see Oliver see Shane.
Okay.
Okay.
We all know Mr. Oliver O'Toole is a very refined gentleman with all the words and all the respect. However, that look on his face was like, man, she's
hello. Oh, I forgot inside the hotel lobby. What does he do? He asks her. And at first it doesn't dawn on her because we're in Washington, D.C., Oliver. There's going to be a lot of nights out. Well, perhaps just you and I. You're asking me out for dinner. Yes. You know, just confirmation. Okay. I mean, yes.
Okay, so if we think of the timeline, Truth Be Told was the one right before this, and that was like March-ish, right? Because Shane's birthday is March.
It is so hard.
It's like March or April, I think, is her birthday. So this is like a few months later. So I'm like, okay, because it's July.
So?
Yeah.
No. Oh, yes, it is July. Yes, yes.
So I'm like, you know, at this point in the series, I'm like, okay, we're good. We're moving along. It's
about dang time.
Yeah. But then, and we can get into this a little bit later because I do have a question for the end when we wrap this up. But from July to the following movie, which is February because it's Valentine's Day.
I know.
Like,
what the heck is going on?
Yeah. But let's talk about those speculations later.
Okay. We shall. So yes, we have a very pleasantly, I don't want to say surprised because he always knew that she was beautiful, but how would you describe that reaction? Flustered, pleasantly flustered, maybe?
I think it's because,
like a good one.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised and flustered?
And I think she was wearing a very bright color, which is not usually a Shane look. Shane is usually in very muted colors. Like Rita's usually the one wearing the bright colors, like the bright pinks and the teals and all that. So when Shane walked out with her blonde hair and the power walk and the orange dress, I mean, she was like,
hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Sunshine coming at me.
And I also love the fact that she was looking at him.
Oh yes, it was so annoying when we got interrupted by Agent Steve Merrick.
Oh, the first time I saw this, because it was like an internet version, if you will, I couldn't tell who she was looking at first, because usually in the typical Hallmark movie, it's like the girl's looking at their past. So then when I saw this the next time around on like Hallmark movies now, I was like, oh, she was looking at Oliver. Yay. That makes me feel so much better, especially after like the rest of the Steve storyline. Steve.
Oh, Steve. And did you love how Oliver was like, do I sit down? No, I stand. I'm going to sit. No, I'm standing.
And that hug from Steve?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I don't know if it's just me, but I would not appreciate my ex-boyfriend picking me up like that. Like, oh, no, sir, you do not have that.
Well, yeah, but she doesn't want to make a scene.
Well, no, of course
she's
not.
She's obviously very uncomfortable. Don't.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, but I'm like, what?
I think she's walking a very fine line here, because she called him, but she expected him to just call her back. So she is completely taken off guard, and she is shocked to see him. He's coming at her. So like, oh gosh, what do I do? And then she's trying to play nice as well, because she needs something from him. So that's a very fine line for her to be walking right there.
Yeah. And she's also like kind of code talking to Oliver when she's like, let's go out for drinks tonight. I promise. This is a good reason. Like, they don't say a whole lot, and she doesn't even really change her tone, but you can tell like she's trying to convey a message to Oliver, Yep.
And he's not getting it.
Oh my gosh, that is so frustrating. She says directly to him, why don't we meet for drinks after Mr. Merrick? Oh gosh, honey, please get a clue here. She doesn't like him anymore.
Can't blame him, because he's heard about Steve. Steve sent her the birthday card, and then he does the pickup hug, which is like,
that is very, very sacred. The pickup hug is sacred. Oh, now if there had been a spin, he would. That man would have been sent to the chopping block right there. But there was no spin.
There was no spin. Yeah. And did you notice they left their drinks? I was like,
right, they did.
But your drinks are still there, and they look delicious.
Yeah.
More Arnold than Palmer. Oh my gosh. Okay, really quickly, I want to talk about the envelope. We don't know what's in there yet, but something I really noticed in Oliver throughout the use of this movie is his use of he uses constantly, and it's almost like a weapon. So Norman, what's in the envelope? He's like, come on, buddy, let's get talking. And then when he starts interrogating Shane about Steve, like, he just, that is powerful.
Yeah. He does do that a lot through the series. He does.
But I think the really intensity, noticed it.
Yeah.
I really noticed it in this movie, because he does it a lot.
Yeah.
He does it in this movie a lot.
I also kind of wonder if it's an Eric thing too, because I've noticed that in his other movies, honestly.
That very well could be.
Like, especially when when his character is getting like kind of riled up. He does like throw the in there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so we do a very quick scene, but it's too cute to pass up. Norman at the door, knocking to try to get to try to give Rita her present, just standing completely awkwardly out there in the hall with these girls just buzzing, and oh my gosh, that is so embarrassing.
Did you catch that one of the girls, as he's walking away, you could hear like the tittering in the background?
It's like a little teddy bear. Yes, yes, yes. I heard. Oh dear. I mean, and obviously he can hear that. I mean, it must have been so embarrassing. And he's trying to catch her alone, and this time she's not getting the hint. Like, was there? He's kind of gesturing with his head, and did you need something? Oh no, sweetie, darling Rita, close the door. Get away from prying eyes. Come on, honey.
And it's your boyfriend.
I know. It's not like they are where they're at in From Paris with Love.
Yeah.
They are an official couple now. They haven't said the L word. They haven't said the L. Well, she has.
She has.
But he
hasn't.
Yeah. So they haven't said it to each other. But they've kissed, they've held hands, they've gone on official dates. They are an official couple now. So, come on. So then we go to the lobby where Steve is shamelessly trying to pick up Shane again. And he's betrayed by his own
excellence.
Yes. Betrayed by my own excellence. Oh, gosh. I just threw up in my mouth. He is good looking. I'll give him that. He is very easy on the eyes, even for an older guy, because he's older than we are. But yeah,
okay.
No, I think he is. I think he's good looking, but dang, the things that he had the nerve to say, I was like, sweetie, you do not have a clue.
He is desperate to get back the one that got away.
I'm telling you. And, that leads you to wonder, if he did get her back, what would it be like then? It would just go back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
It would just go back to him dropping everything and leaving whenever he needed to, and ignoring her, and her never knowing where she stood with him. So yeah, it just but
good for her for being like, listen, here's the thing, this happened, this happened, this happened, we can be friends, but there's nothing between us. Like, because I mean, in that situation, I feel like a lot of girls would feel really flattered.
Oh yeah,
and they would be like,
especially because things are off to a roaring stop with Oliver in a lot of cases. There are so many things that are in the way with Oliver that don't include Steve. And so it would be very, very easy, very easy for her to fall back into old habits.
Right.
But I think probably my favorite line is, "You came back on vacation." Like, no, Mr. Suave and Charming, you're not getting me back.
He tries to like grab her hand, and I'm like,
yeah. And then of course that's what Oliver sees.
Of course.
Yeah. But she doesn't take her hand back quick enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And when she's talking to Oliver about him, I don't know, when she says, "My flames are none of your business," I'm like, why aren't they? Why aren't they any of his business? And you could make it his business, see that?
Yeah. But I think also too, she has to light a fire under him in order for him
under Oliver.
And I feel like when she does these sort of things, when she's like, because she also mentions it in the, in 1 in a Million, when they're on their date, that they had been there with Steve, or maybe it was from the heart, whatever.
No,
But,
it was 1 in a million.
Was it 1 in a million? That
she had been there with Lester and Steve.
Yes. Okay. And like Joe O'Toole says, yeah, she's saying these things because she's trying to defend herself. And I feel like it's the same here. Like, you know, she's telling him it's none of his business to be like,
if you're going to attack me, then.
Yeah.
No, that's true. That's a good point. So I'm getting a real picture between this movie and Christmas, and a lot in between, of just how territorial Oliver is, especially when he has no reason to be. You know, I mean, at Christmas, he was still married. He was still technically married, and he was getting mad because Jordan Marley got to dance with Shane before he did, and then when he danced, they did the dance. You know, I was just like, and then he does the dance with Holly and From Paris with Love. I'm like, you are a punk. And so now he's getting all territorial on her when he won't make a move. You know, he's getting angry, he's getting upset, and he's getting very territorial, but he won't make a move. The only move that he has made is the porch swing.
Yeah.
You know, and which is a big move, especially for Oliver. Do not get me wrong. I'm not taking that down or anything, but when you consistently and constantly are determined to remain formal and refuse to take that next step, what's a girl supposed to think? The point is that Oliver has no right getting so territorial when he refuses to move forward.
I think it's an insecurity thing, honestly.
Oh, it's totally an insecurity thing.
He's insecure. He's also, I think there's also that underlying fear that Shane is going to leave him, just like his wife left him, just like his mom left him. So there are all those details. Plus, you know, we know that he is not by nature an emotional person. He is very task-driven. He's not very people-driven until Shane comes in the picture. And so having to deal with all these emotions is kind of a lot. And he's coming face front with Steve, the birthday card dude.
Yeah, the birthday card dude.
And
not to mention the fact that Oliver is akin to molasses left in the refrigerator, while Steve is obviously a streak of oil that's been lit on fire. You know?
You have a whole lot of boundaries.
Yeah, not really. Okay.
He also says to her, your friend Steve, like a curse word, just like Shane says Holly, like a curse word. So that was also funny. And then when Steve, when she admits to him that he's part of the clandestine services,
you dated a spy.
Eric's voice jumps like 3 notches higher, and it makes me laugh so much because Oliver's very like deep and very like talks down here, and then all of a sudden it was like, you dated a spy? Like, what?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's move on to the Postal Museum. We've got everybody, even Rita there, even though she's kind of separated off. And we get the story in the abbreviated version this time because he's telling Harper. And you know, I am once again just appalled that she would leave him on vacation somewhere that meant the most to him. And the fact that he waited, we don't know what time of day they were there, but he waited until the museum closed to leave. You know, I mean, that is heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. But he's brave enough to come back and to have closure. And I love the story about Randy Lynn as a 2-year-old with the bed and saying that she had to go back and reenact her fall so that she could make sense of the pain and so that she could make her father understand because she couldn't talk yet. Then we are at the Pentagon. Harper couldn't make it because he overdid it. And so Phoebe and Norman take him to the hospital to get him checked out. And it's up to Rita, Oliver, and Shane to keep the appointment. And did you notice that when Shane says, "Here he comes," Rita's smiling pleasantly. Shane kind of adjusts her clothes, and Oliver looks angry like a kid who's been caught and sent to the principal's office.
He probably got clams
Rita,
that night.
Kind of eyeing them too. Like she was kind of looking between Oliver and Shane, like, oh.
Oh, Rita? I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that.
Oh yeah, she was eyeing them.
So we hear that as of 6 months ago, Randy Lynn was alive. 6 months ago, she was alive. And there was a rescue attempt, but it failed. And we don't know if there were any casualties or not. And we get the clues. Oh, and we also find out that Kabul has mail.
Apparently very good mail.
Apparently. And I love what Oliver says here. Mail is the gold standard of communication. And Steve goes, yeah. Anyway, so we get the clues. The day will end fast. The birthday of liberty. Return to the 4 poster. Song 5916, proverbial 1810, and grim feet because his thumb was covering it. Dang it, Steve.
I love how Rita, she just like reads it really fast and he's like, you're not supposed to look at them, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, the clues don't even make sense. And she's like, I know. And she's like, I mean, bet. And then she's like, I have a tap recital to go to.
You guys think that Steve walked away on purpose, like hoping they might look at it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
No.
Because he keeps on saying, don't look at that. Okay, let's pretend I didn't hear that. Which I think that part where he says, pretend I didn't hear that Rita has a photographic memory, which, when Shane says that, like, Shane, shh, quiet. But whatever. But then when he says, okay, let's pretend I didn't hear that, I thought, oh, okay, now he's ignoring the fact that Rita has a photographic memory and she probably remembers everything that was written. So
yeah, because that means big trouble for him.
It does. I think he underestimated them.
Yeah.
Is what I think. I don't think that he even gave it a second thought. Okay, yeah, she remembers what's written there. Big deal. But I don't think he for a moment thought they would go straight to a park and start typing out the clues and trying to figure them out. And as Oliver says, we are professionals. We should be able to break this code.
And I mean, like, from Steve's point of view, he's just seeing them as surface. Like, we as the viewers, we know our postables and we know their characters and we know their depths and stuff.
But Steve, they're just weirdos to Steve.
I mean, for Steve, he's like this weird dude who like talks in postal code and stuff. We got this like little dorky Norman who just like, kind of putters around.
Norman wasn't there.
But he met him at the drinks. And then we have Rita, who's like this cute, adorable, like ditzy girl is probably what he's thinking, because she's kind of like in this, when she's Miss Special Delivery, she's very girly. She's very
girly. She's giggly.
She's very giggly. And then you have Shane, and his ultimate goal is to get Shane. So yeah, he totally underestimated them. I mean, anybody would, just looking at them as like a little crew.
It's true.
Crew.
It's true. So then we have the big moment we have the big moment at dance practice. My dogs are barking so hard, I can't get back to first position. And then it dawns on Rita, Liberty! Not the 4th of July. That's not the birthday of Liberty. It's the, I have to say, okay, I don't know if it's because I was watching a movie, but the second that they said the birthday of Liberty, I was like, it's the dog. Because we're talking about the mother. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the mother of the girl who owns the dog. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I went straight to the dog's birthday, but that's just me. So okay.
I like how Rita just runs off stage. Like,
I know, right in the middle of practice. Sweetie, you need that practice.
Yeah. Because everyone's out of step except Rita.
I love that line. And the way he says it, yeah, everyone's out of step but you. Okay. We are in the hotel room where they start getting some answers. Mm-hmm. And, okay. Can I just say that when Madam Chairwoman starts saying, this is all based on the birth date of a family pet, I'm like, why the heck not? Mm-hmm. And then she says, why would a soldier hoping for rescue purposefully write something obscure and run the chance that it wouldn't be decoded? I'm like, duh. That made me so mad. I was like, how are you in politics, woman?
How are you the chairman of this committee? And the fact that the other senator had to explain it to her, like, I'm like, wait, what? It didn't make sense. Even if she was, and here's the other thing too, she could have been playing devil's advocate. However, she genuinely looked confused as to why this, all these clues, and why would she write in code? I'm like, of course, even I, as a civilian, I do not have any ties to the military except that I live in a military town. Like, of course, duh. If you have any sense of imagination, you would know that they're doing it to protect those who are coming to rescue and fellow Americans.
And, even if it's not to, quote unquote, protect those coming to rescue, you don't want the people
to know that you're trying to get out.
Yeah. That you're trying to get out. Come on. Oh, gosh. And then this is the other thing that ticked me off. She's not trained in navigation or survival. I'm like, really? She's not trained in advanced survival or navigation, so therefore she's dead meat. What do you train these people to do?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so frustrating. So frustrating. But we find out that the numbers are Bible verses that talk about high towers and running to them. We find out that Liberty's birthday is July 21st. We find out that the 4-poster was in reference to the 4-poster bed that she fell off of. Mm-hmm. So the only clue that, and the day will end fast. I love how I'm a religious person. We fast, we go without eating the first Sunday of every month. And I didn't think of that until Harper said it. I'm like, oh gosh, I am such a dummy. So the day will end fast. I love how he just jumped right to fast in a hurry, or fast as in not eating.
That was the clue that I picked up on.
Oh, that was the clue.
That was the clue I picked up on. Yeah, because in the beginning they were talking how it was Ramadan. And I knew that during that time period, that's when they fast. So I that's the only clue I picked up on. I did not get the dog, though.
Well, that's why we're a team. Yeah. We all pick up on different things. So we see Randy Lynn running for her life and trying to find her way to the village of Darak, because Assad, the man who helped her so bravely, so courageously, and so I don't even know the word for it. You know what I mean? Just the amazing heart that man has. You know, to rescue her and not just expect her to save his daughter.
Right.
And he wanted to rescue her, and just what a good man he was. And he couldn't get back to take her the rest of the way, but he left the only food he had with her. I mean, and for her to refuse the food, that woman had to have been starving, you know, because who knows how well they fed her. And something that Tammy shared with us was that she and Martha had the thought that she had broken her leg in that fall, and her leg had never fully healed properly, and so she's limping already a little bit, and then she falls down that slope and gets that huge gash, and so she's doubly limping now. You know, this poor woman. Just and so then we have the waiting outside conversation. I had you vetted. You know what I mean? This conversation is so funny to me because it's a way to say you better not hurt her. You know, because I'll find out. You know? But I had you vetted. You're what we call a solid citizen, and you know, and Oliver kind of says, yes, I'm coming to find that you are too. You know, very reluctantly.
Oh, at that moment, I was like, come on, Oliver, just say thank you and move on. Don't tell him he's a good man. Like,
he did a great deal for them. You have to admit that.
But in that situation, we all know that Steve was just buttering him up because of Shane. He could have thanked him later after, you know. Don't tell him he's a good man. Just say thank you. I appreciate your ministry. I appreciate your help. Thank you. Just, you know, don't flatter him. He doesn't need to get inflated anymore.
So,
especially when Steve's like, maybe Shane has good taste. I'm like,
well, he's giving Oliver a compliment right then.
He's also giving himself a compliment.
Yes, he is. But he's giving Oliver a compliment because I think that by now Steve knows that his time has passed. He's still grasping it. He's still grasping at straws, but he knows that his time is past. Okay, so time out here really quick. Did we notice that Norman has worn a lot of plaid this entire movie? Yes, he has worn a lot of plaid. And so if you're following Chandel's theory, Alameda and Downing, that the male characters are incredibly stressed when they're wearing plaid. and so
the more obvious the plaid, the more obvious they're more
stressed. Yeah. But so he's trying really hard to get this package to Rita, and he can't do it, and then he's under stress with the session and everything like that. Okay, speaking of the session, let's go back. If you can't tell us what grim feet means, it renders the rest of your conjectures useless. But will they let them look at the letter to confirm what grim feet means? Come on! You know, that probably made me the maddest of all. These four have already been in this secret session of Congress. They have been sworn to secrecy. They're not going to reveal any of the other details of this. They've already been read in because they can figure it out. So why not give them 3 letters? Come on!
Right. Or at least take their first, 4 out of the 5 clues seriously.
5 out of 6.
Or 5 out of 6, yeah.
Yes.
They should.
But these are so-called clues. I wanted to just reach through the screen and strangle that woman. But it renders everything useless. But we're not going to let you look at the letter to confirm.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like Norman with the teddy bear in the lobby of From the Heart. I just wanted to rip something up right there. So, and did you notice that Oliver calls him Steve for the one and only time because it's personal now.
Yeah.
It is personal. And he says, Steve, was it Pilgrim Feet? And he says yes, and he goes, boom, Randall. I love his emotional reaction because, like you said, Oliver is not an emotional person.
Right.
And so just for him to get so emotional to pound on the table and then
every time
and button his coat.
Every time I watch this movie and Oliver smacks that desk, and I know it's coming. I've seen this movie a billion times.
I know.
I literally jump every single time.
And then the other thing that I haven't really noticed before, but I looked this time, was the reactions of the ladies on either side. You don't see Norman's face, but when he says it, Rita's is the best in my opinion. She just goes, oh, it's very subtle, but she just goes, oh my goodness, duh. And then Shane on the other side, she didn't figure it out. She didn't give this, oh, duh, stupid me, but she goes, oh my gosh. It's so slight, but it's there. I really do like it.
And also too, you can also see with Shane when the light bulb goes off, it's a sense of pride for Oliver too. Like she's
completely.
Yeah, my man did it.
Yeah, that's my guy right there, even though he won't say it.
But if you also notice too, when Oliver is giving that speech, and there's a fine line between character and real life people, but Kristin and Crystal, you can tell that they're really trying hard not to cry.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
very, very much so. So we go to outside. We go to outside. Did you guys notice that everyone changed clothes except for Rita?
Oh.
Yeah, when she's trying to get on the bus, and I guess she doesn't need to change clothes because she's got her formal gown in her hand. But yeah, her clothes are the same, and everybody else has changed clothes. Norman's still in plaid. Poor guy.
Poor Norman. Aww.
I am just glad that Oliver did not see Steve kiss Shane, because that would have been bad. We did not need any more bad vibes happening in that arena.
I literally thought Oliver was going to see them kiss.
I know.
I was like, and we're doomed. We're doomed. And then
It always happens that way.
I know.
Yes, that's right. It always happens that way. Thank heavens it didn't this time. Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine? Actually, let's not imagine.
Let's not. But I do love that, because he says, I'm here now. I live here now. No. It's about so much more than your location. I can get you a porch swing. I already have one. I love it. But I was waiting for him to say for her to say, and he gave it to me. But that we don't need to rub his nose in the dirt anymore. His pride has suffered enough. You know?
Oh, and then the other thing too, I was like, Shane, don't tell him that you and Oliver aren't official. He doesn't have to know that.
Oh, I know. Like,
that's all he needed to hear. Oliver and I are not. That's all he needed to hear, and that's why he kissed her. Like, she should have just been like, left it alone. Goodbye, Steve. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen.
How many more ways can we say it?
Adios.
I think you already said that one.
Goodbye, Steve.
All right. So now we're at the pageant. And okay, can I just say Rita looks stunning. And as Rita, you know, she's still Rita, but she looks positively stunning, positively beautiful. I really think she looks absolutely gorgeous. And Shane and Oliver are too antsy to sit. I do not blame them because I've been too antsy to sit about matters that are I still hold to the fact that I believe that it still could have counted because that magazine was not in print yet. It was not in print. It was the next month's issue. And she had not received payment. She had received promise of payment, but she had not received the payment. I still hold that Rita could have done the dramatic reading. Of course, story-wise, they're not going to do it because it made it better to have her sing with Mindy. But I still hold that she could have done it because that was next month's issue. She was not in print yet. And she had not been paid. She had not been paid yet. And it said previous compensation, and she had not been paid.
Huh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Would not have thought of that.
Well, I'm kind of glad she had her freak out moment because the next scene was beautiful for her.
Oh, that's so cool! So sweet. And I love Shane and Oliver's reactions to her rambling because they're just smiling and kind of shaking their heads. And then she has that realization that he is in love with her. And then everybody laughs at, oh, that's so cool. I love it. It's organic, it's sweet, and the way that Norman is nodding with his entire body.
It was so sweet. And it's funny too because Norman, the way he's like nodding, it's more like yeah. I'm admitting this.
Yeah. Oh, it's so sweet. Just so them. That was the best part. It's like perfect for Norman and Rita.
Very much, very much. So then Mindy finally gets the guts to sing. I fully believe in the power of music and what it can do. And watching this part of the movie with her singing The Impossible Dream, oh my gosh, it tore my heart out. And I noticed three phrases when she says too weary, when she sings too weary, Randy Lynn is just flat on her back and just too weary. She's too weary to go on. And then when she sings Quest, it shows Randy Lynn trekking over the wilderness, like the song says. And then, of course, Star. Oh my gosh, the tears are just streaming down my face when she belts out Star, and it shows the brightest star in the sky. Just, I'm okay.
I am not a crier, but that scene every single time makes me cry, like tears actually coming down my face. And that's a rarity. So it's such a powerful scene. And I just, gets me every time.
So powerful. So powerful. And she wins Miss Special Delivery. And Rita gets Miss Special Handling, the 4th runner-up.
Which is equivalent to Miss Congeniality.
Right.
Yep.
Which I think is actually better.
I mean, I'm glad that she didn't
her.
win.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that she didn't win, because that would have made it too tied up in a little bow.
Yeah.
And Mindy was the one being featured right there. So I really think that they did a really good thing in making her the 4th runner-up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the adorable kiss. We cannot end the scene without talking about it. Just the bang, bump. Okay, you go this. Okay. But then, yeah, we'll get it.
They're precious.
They really are. And I love that she says, yeah, we'll get it, because it means they're going to practice a whole lot more.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. All right. So then we come to the rescue, which is the scene that makes me cry the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, to have America the Beautiful being sung while she is being rescued, to have those silent tears running down her cheeks. Kaycee, do you remember when we talked to Tammy Gillis and how she's a soldier? She's not gonna burst into tears in front of her comrades, but in front of her fellow soldiers. But just the smile of relief on her face. I'm rescued. I'm going home. Oh, and just those tears of relief going down her dirty cheeks with the boom, boom of the music in the back. It kills me. It gets me every single time. Okay. I want to turn the reuniting scene over to you, Kaycee. So go for it, because I know it's your favorite scene.
It is my favorite scene.
So I want to turn it over to you. Go for it.
So at almost the very end of the movie, we see 2 cabs roll up to what seems to be some kind of military air base, airfield. And out comes Harper and Phoebe and Norman out of the first cab. And you have Shane, Oliver, and Rita coming out of the second cab. The cab goes, and obviously Harper's like, wait, what? Are we going to need a cab? And we also have Steve come back. This time we want Steve to be there because he is really the driving force to this next scene. And he meets Phoebe and Harper. He's like, do you want to see what Army Rangers are flying in these days? And then we have the moment where Phoebe turns around and her mama, Randy Lynn, walks down and everyone's crying, including myself and everybody else. And it's just like such a beautiful reunion between the two of them. I mean, this girl has gone through so much. We find out that her dad had been killed in action in Kabul. Obviously, her mom had been missing for almost over 2 years at this point. And
Grandpa's getting older.
He's not doing well. We know that he's on dialysis. And I mean, there is no grandma that we know of. We don't know if she has any other family. She's been bullied. Like, she has had a very hard go the last several years. And to see her, call out for her mom and just run to her is just the most precious and heartbreaking and beautiful thing in the entire world. And we also see,
Our couple's
everybody else
cuddling.
I know everybody else is crying, and Kristin Booth has said that like literally she and Crystal like couldn't hold themselves together. I mean, like all of them really. They have said that scene was so emotional, and y'all should listen to our interview with Tammy Gillis because she goes into more details about that. But so beautiful, and then we have
it's
the
amazing.
hugs. Norman and Nina have their hug, and Shane and Oliver have their hug cuddle.
Yep. And then to end, Oliver is using that newly found fortune to buy Shane's old home lot. And he's asking her to dig up the blueprint somewhere with her computer skills. And he's going to build a postal retirement center. All righty. Are you ready?
No, we're not ready. We just need to talk about he gets her cutting from the rose bush.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. He gets her a cutting from the rose bush, which is going to come into play a lot later.
So many ways.
Yeah.
So many ways.
And we see Oliver trying to show and do these things for Shane. Like he's not his love language at this point is like gifts. Or giving things, doing things. So it's interesting to see him grow in this way.
But it also shows that he's listening. That's a really big one. Yeah. All right. Trivia time. The daughter's name that Randy Lynn delivered the baby. What was the daughter's name?
Nilifer.
Check-in time to the hotel was
9:15.
They arrive at 3:57 or something like that.
3:56, Kaycee, get the minute right. 5:10. They check in time. And okay, can I just say curfew at 10:30? Please. Come on, Oliver. We're all adults here. All right, what's the population of Big Piney?
576.
Very good.
Wow.
I wrote notes this time.
Yes, you did. What is Miss Louisiana's name?
Peggy Rose.
No, good for you.
Yay! This never happens, by the way.
It doesn't.
Swag, you're on fire.
Never happens.
What was the title of the magazine? Not the name of the magazine, but the title of the article.
Miss Special Delivery?
Nope.
I don't know. I know it's Postal Living.
From Dead Letters to Love Letters. That was the title of the article that she was featured in. It's right there on the cover.
Yeah,
and what's the reference in Psalms?
The actual number or the tower?
The actual number. What's the reference? Psalms what?
59:16.
51. Good. Yeah. Very good. All right. One more. What was the trusty steed's name?
Zephyr.
Yes. Yay! I did it. Kaycee, I'm so proud of you.
Oh my goodness. Oh, really quick. I know we have literally like 2 minutes. However, I just have to ask you. So I alluded to this earlier.
Yes,
There's like a 7-month difference between this movie and the next movie. Oliver asks Shane out. Then, obviously, they're not
They have dinner on the steps.
They have dinner on the steps. From the heart, we see Shane griping, like passive-aggressively saying that she doesn't have a boyfriend. What do you guys think that Oliver and Shane did over those next 5-6 months? Like, go get coffee?
If they even did anything, I have no idea.
I think the fact that she's so means that Oliver has done nothing, and so it is ticking her off. You know, maybe like, why is he not my boyfriend right now?
I wonder if they went out for some dinners, casual dinners under the disguise of like work or like work lunches.
They probably went to the mailbox grill.
They probably did that a lot
as a foursome, as the four of them.
And I feel like they probably would have done it. I feel like Oliver would have been the type to make an excuse to have dinner or lunch with her under the guise of work, but just with her, because
but he wouldn't call it a date.
Right. And he wouldn't call it a date or anything, because in the next movie, we see him making that heart. And you don't just make a Valentine with a heart on it for just a friend. You know what I'm saying?
Valentine's Day, so it's different. I really do think that they were at a standstill, which is sad after so many months.
Well, no, for sure. Yeah. But I feel like at that moment they had to have their relationship had to have been progressing like at least a little bit, because
maybe
he wouldn't be griping about not having a boyfriend, and he wouldn't be making a card with a heart asking her to a fancy dinner. Like, I don't know. Because
I don't know.
If they didn't do anything, like, I'd be like,
well, but in 1 in a Million, she says, "What was tonight? Was it a date or just our long promised dinner?" So
very long promised
dinner. You know, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I really have no idea. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
One that, dang it, we've already interviewed the stars.
We'll have them back. They like us.
All right, Lauralyn, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. For more juicy details and to hear what's coming up, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at DeliverMeAPod and on Instagram at DeliverMeAPodcast. And please check out our merch store for tons of Postables inspired merchandise to enhance your fandom. See you next week.